I know you were shooting the ball at a pretty good clip during the Indiana All-Star Series. I'm just curious how that's carried over into workouts and what has it been like getting your shot off against the kind of bigger college defenders?
It's been good. It's been an amazing experience. Shooting my shots, it's really no difference. I've been working on just keeping the same form and just keeping my shot consistent. So it's all about just knocking it down on that next level, and it's translated.
Tyler Tackman.
Hey CJ, I hope you're doing well. As far as your kind of your attention to the defensive end and the emphasis that you put on that, is that something that you've always had since you were a little kid? Is that something that you've kind of had to really develop recently? How has that kind of developed?
I grew up always having that dog in me on both ends of the floor, and I feel like it's really important to me to be a two-way player and not only be the best player on offense end, but to also guard the best player on the other team. So I really pride myself on defense and keeping my defender in front of me and also playing the right spot off the ball.
Dustin.
Hey, CJ, just so far, what have been the difficult adjustments, I guess, of getting, just being around a college program, basically playing pickup with, college guys who have already been here for a little bit? Just what's the adjustment period been like? What have you had to get used to? And is there anything that you didn't expect, I guess, that you've had to go through already coming in?
I wouldn't say there was anything I didn't expect. It's just an adjustment to the speed of the game and just how important it is to be in shape and to be conditioned. I think the everyday work, multiple hours a day, more than once a day. I think that's the biggest thing of getting used to it. It's more like a job now than high school.
Jack Ankeny.
Hey, CJ. So you originally committed to Indiana under Coach Miller, and so I'm just curious, during the coaching change, did you ever consider reopening your recruitment, or I guess, and if not, what about Coach Woodson made you want to stick with your commitment to Indiana?
The only time I really had question was the time period where Coach Archie got fired, and before we knew who the head coach was going to be. That was my only question, where I was really questionable about what my decision was going to be. But once we heard the decision that it was going to be Mike Woodson, it was kind of solidified from that point out. We already knew. We know some of Coach Woodson's family through friendships and relationships. But once we heard Coach Wilson was going to be the coach, there was no doubt in my mind that I wanted to play for him, as he's a legend at IU and just a legendary NBA player, NBA coach. So I believe he can turn me into the best version of myself.
Alex.
Hey, CJ. Caleb mentioned that the freshmen spend a lot of time together. I'm curious, just for your impressions, if you could go one by one of Caleb, Jalen, and Malik and their games and kind of what you've seen out of them so far.
Caleb, I think he's more like a big guard. He can get his shot off and create his shot whenever he wants to. Fino, he's a great facilitator. He knows how to use his body real well to just affect the defense in so many ways. And Malik, he's just a straight killer when it comes to post work and mid range. And he also has a clip from the 3-point line. So I think we all just are just a versatile group, and we can definitely make an impact right away. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Zion Brown.
Yeah, CJ, you've been around for about a month now. In this time period, what has kind of surprised you, if anything? Has anything really surprised you about the program as a whole?
I would just say how easy it is to get along with everybody, the coaches, even Timmy G, the athletic trainer, my teammates. Just everybody's real fun. Everybody's easy to talk to, easy to get along with. I wouldn't say I didn't expect it, but it just helps, makes the process a lot easier.
Jim Coyle. Tyler Tackman.
Yeah, CJ, you mentioned that you've always kind of had that dog in you. I guess as much as you're able to explain, like where did that come from, or how did that kind of come about?
It really came from my pops. My pops was he's a really aggressive guy. So when it comes to sports, he taught me and my sister growing up to always be competitive, and I feel like that competitive drive, even going against my sister when I was little, that competitive drive that I've always had just growing up, that he's implemented in me, it's definitely stayed with me to this day.
Kevin Vera.
So kind of asking about the freshman class, how do you see your play style working with all of them, and kind of how have you guys, really been working together during practices so far this summer?
We've been working really good on offense and on defense. Offense, we know we are offensive players, so the offense take care of itself. But we really try to just focus on the defensive end. Just all the freshmen, we're coming in now learning the spots on defense, learning the rotations and stuff like that. But I feel like that's the biggest spot we need to improve in. But on offense, we all know the positions, we all know how to move the ball, and we all play well off each other. So.
Alex Bozich.
CJ, you mentioned your dad and his impact that he's had on you and your sister. I'm curious if you have any memories growing up competing with your sister, and maybe how that helped you in your development as a player.
I actually do. I remember we in Fishers, where me and my sister grew up, we used to bike down to this elementary playground, and our dad used to take us out there, and me and my sister used to go one-on-one probably for about 2-3 hours out there. We used to scratch each other, make each other bleed, cry, fuss over calls and stuff like that. So just doing that with my sister and having that competitive spirit since that of a young age, I can have that against anybody. If I did it with my sister, so I can do it with anybody.
Who would usually win those games?
My sister was older than me. She was bigger than me when we was little, but it got to a certain age, probably around like 12, where it didn't happen anymore.
Thanks.
Kevin Brockwell.
Hey, CJ, I know you've only been with them for a short period of time, but you talked about your relationship with Coach Woodson. I'm just curious about what maybe he's like as a motivator and what he does to get guys pumped up. If you have any stories or if you've seen anything with other teammates in terms of how he gets guys pumped.
Coach Woodson, he really just different guys are motivated in different ways. Some guys you have to talk trash to them to get them motivated. Some guys you have to try to uplift them to get motivated. So Coach Woodson really takes the time to know us and know what we prefer, and he knows how to motivate us all in different ways. So with me specifically, he gets on. I'm a hard nose. I learned through hard nose. Like my dad is a really aggressive. So Coach Woodson, he just knows how to make me focus and make me dial in more.
Dustin, and then we'll wrap up with Mike Schumann.
CJ, what are your goals in terms of just physical development? Obviously, and I guess how much have you learned already of how important it is to, how important it's going to be for you in your game to put some muscle on?
It's really important to me. Me and Coach Cliff, we've really been focusing on getting me to 200 pounds before we go back home in August. But getting to 200 pounds, and nutrition is really important. Nutrition, sleep, it's really all a part of the process. So you have to take in all of those factors and really lock in and key in on staying disciplined to those. And so that's what I really learned over this summer.
How much do you weigh right now?
I weighed in today, I was 199.
Mike Schumann.
Yeah, CJ, just continuing on that point, I know when I talked to you before you arrived, you were already focused on weight training. I'm curious, like, how much more intense is what you're doing now than what you were doing before? And also, how do you balance, like, not impacting your game negatively, like, keeping your shot where you want it to be and things like that?
Courtney Roby down at Sparks, he definitely did a good job preparing me to get down here. We actually had a meeting with Coach Cliff before I came down to IU, and he told us the keys that they were going to focus on during the weightlifting program. The weightlifting with Coach Cliff from what I was doing in the summer is definitely more intense, more energy in the weight room. But Courtney, he did a good job on preparing me for that. and I'm still getting used to it, but it's definitely I'm loving it, sure.
And just to be clear, that's former IU wide receiver Courtney Roby, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Last question, Jim Coyle.
Hey, CJ, how are you, man?
Good, how are you?
Good, sir. A lot of talk about Indiana needing a shooter, and with you coming in, and you're one of the people that comes to mind, having seen you play last year. You like to play in the fourth quarter. You have a great opportunity on this team because one of the greatest needs they have is a shooter. The guy that can be that knockdown guy who can knock down the shot when they need it, especially in tight games. How are you setting yourself up to be in that position, to be able to handle that mentally, but to be the guy that's that shooter?
Yes, sir. I think I've set myself up to be that shooter. Obviously, we're still getting that work in. It's a day by day. Not all days are good days. Not all days are bad days. But it's just all about lifting each other up and keeping a positive mindset and looking at the end goal and just treat every day to get better. So I believe I've set myself up for that, and I'm gonna continue to put in the work so you guys can see it translate on the floor later this year.
All right, CJ, thank you. Guys, we'll be back next week, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.